Well, we talked a lot about the races. How about the ballot measures, at least here in Fresno County? Measure C, the transportation tax, 30-year extension from 2027 to 2057. The revenue billed near $7 billion. It had a controversial process, this half-cent sales tax. It needed 66% to pass. It is not there. Measure E, a proposed tax to increase of personal property sales of 0.2%. The money collected will go towards a number of programs and scholarships and improvements at Fresno State. 2/3 academic, 1/3 athletic. It needed just 50% plus 1 to pass. It is not there. And then Measure M, another sales tax measure in the city of Fresno, where funds will go towards the improvement of facilities and services for Fresno veterans. The increase would be a tax of 8.5%. Of course, it's already the sales tax at 7.9 in the city of Fresno, so it'd be about a 0.5% of a sales tax increase. It is also failing as it needs 66%. So all these tax measures, again, not getting to the number where it needs to be. That's where we begin round two with our panel, Henry Perea and Michael DeManuel Jr. All right, let's start with Measure C. You know, it had big time opposition. They said elected leaders went behind closed doors and figured this out. There was that 11th hour change from the city of Fresno and Mayor Dyer trying to reallocate some funds from Fresno County to the city of Fresno. Was that the dagger that really put it into this measure? Because I know you were a big part of this.
Yeah, I was involved in the Yes on C campaign. No, I don't think that was. I think when you take a look at the voter turnout, I think when you take a look at the fact that, you know, things you can't predict when you're going onto a ballot, the economy has made a major turn. And then when you have 3 local initiatives, which we weren't counting to be on the ballot, I think the function of those things are what hurt Measure C. I mean, in spite of that, I mean, they received 58% of the vote, did not receive the supermajority of 66. But I think when it's all said and done and we take a look at the maps, I think we're going to see countywide that Measure C really did pass in many communities throughout this county, and a lot of our disadvantaged communities. So yes, there was organized opposition to it, no question about that, and we know their strategy is that they targeted Republican voters. So that was their strategy, you know, to try to drive that voter turnout down. But I think the irony there is that was their target population to bring it down, but at the same time, I think they ended up hurting the communities that they say they wanted to help.
Well, I think we've seen the electorate in this cycle looked like it turned out to be center-right, so naturally wary of taxes. I also think if people are having a hard time putting gas in their car, putting food on their table, there's a lot of inflation, and then I think they just looked at the ballot and saw tax, and said no, no, no. I don't think many people understand Measure C. I don't think the political negotiations were on the minds of voters. I just think this is a bad year to ask for even an extension of taxes.
Well, even, you know, you look at Measure E, obviously we talked a little bit about it in the first panel, but my thought is, okay, this was all Richard Spencer trying to put money into it and get it passed. Will it show up again? I
don't think it will. I think, you know,
one and done.
Richard Spencer spent $1.5 million for the dismal turnout that he got. I think he's going to let that one go.
Bad idea. Biggest California state budget in history, biggest CSU budget in history, record surpluses, and I don't think there's any evidence that anybody ever went to the legislature in Sacramento and presented the needs that were outlined in Measure E to the legislature and that they said no. I don't think anyone's ever said no to these things. You roll all that up, and I think it was, I just think it was a bad idea, period. Let the legislature fund Fresno State's needs out of this big surplus we've got.
You know, I want to move on to a Fresno Unified race that has a lot of people talking, and that was Area 7. This was the race between really 2 people here, and that would be Susan Woodruff and Terry Sladek. And there's the numbers. It's over. Susan Woodruff is going to become the new Fresno Unified School Board trustee. There was 4 trustee seats up really for either re-election or up for grabs. The 3 other incumbents are winning their races, except for Terry Sladek here. And so I'm wondering, is this about Susan Woodruff getting a lot of money, big endorsements, including Kevin McCarthy, reached all the way down into a Fresno Unified School Board race for an endorsement? Or was this about what Terry Sladek and some of his antics maybe, or some of, calling out the dais, or, however you want to perceive it? How does this shape up and the result?
Yeah, I think it was a function of two things. One was Terry Sladek and his behavior. I think people were tired of that. But now you add the other side. I think Susan is a good candidate and was a good candidate. And she had a lot of money behind her. I think you put those things together and Terry was destined to lose.
I agree. I think Susan's very nice, and but I don't think the district gets better because she's going to be a new trustee. It's a $1 billion organization, needs a chaotic disruptor to bring about change. Yet one on that board, and I don't.
Now he's gone.
Now he's gone. And actually, Terry Sladek's the only reason we really knew anything that was going on in Fresno Unified as a community. In my mind, the business community and elected leaders in this town missed a great opportunity to make some overall changes in the makeup of the trustee board, but they ignored those elections, and a couple of people focused on the Bullard area. Will the district be better as a result of the outcome? No, it will not.
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned Bullard, right? And this week, Principal Armin Tarigian finally enacted the cell phone policy, which is basically lock them up into the under pocketbook for school time. And, this was a big debate. Terry Sladek was all for it. He was out in front. And then there was Susan Wittrup, who said, well, I'm not for or against it. I'm just for a process where all the stakeholders are involved. Did that hurt Terry Sladek as well, knowing a lot of parents were not happy about this cell phone policy, and they're the voters?
I think that was just one more nail in the coffin for Terry, but my personal opinion, a guy who went to Catholic school for 12 years, wore uniforms every day and had nuns that were pretty tough on you. I think it's pretty weak for people to be shocked about, oh, we can't have access to our cell phones while we're supposed to be learning.
Yeah, you turned out okay.
Yeah, I turned out okay, so I think it's ridiculous.
I couldn't be more supportive of the cell phone policy. I think it's a good experiment. Let's see how student achievement, let's see what student achievement does, if there's any connection to better performance or not. But listen, I know what kids are doing in classrooms on their phones. They're Snapchatting, they're scrolling through Instagram. There's no value in having a phone at your desk when you're in a classroom. None.
All right. Michael DeManuel Jr., Henry Perea, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate this.
Thank you.